Hello, it's some dust or something, and this is some duck or something. Otherwise known as the Deinocheirus, this is one of the apexes in Path of Titans, and I wanted to take some time to do a showcase for you talking about the Deinocheirus. This is a semi-aquatic apex in the same league as kind of Spinosaurus, except the duck is lighter, so there is that, and also the duck doesn't have as good oxygen when you go under. It's not terrible. I mean, obviously, compared to a lot of terrestrials, this oxygen gauge isn't that bad, but you can't stay under for a super long time like you could with something like a Sarco or a Suco. Eventually, you will have to surface. So I think that this is a pretty overlooked apex. You know, a lot of people really love Rexes and Spinos and Eos. I think the only one that gets less love than this is probably the Barsboldia. And I think that's a shame, because while the Deinocheirus isn't as heavy as most of the other apexes, it is heavier than Eotrike, but even though it's not as heavy as some of the other ones and it doesn't have as much combat utility as a lot of them do, I do think it has its perks, and I want to go over those with you. The biggest thing I got to talk about, like I always mention, stamina. A lot of people love apexes for their bulk, they love being something big and large and in charge and all that stuff, but they can't stand constantly having to worry about stamina. Well, the Deinocheirus is arguably the best stamina-wise out of all of the apexes, with a decent pool, good regeneration, low drain. Of course, as you are a semi-aquatic, I'm going to drain some here to just sort of show you this, but you can go in the water, and as you're swimming, your stamina will refill, as long as you're not sprinting in the water. So that makes it really nice too. If you ever need to duck out of a fight for a second and regain stamina, you have that option. You are a pretty fast swimmer. Very fast, actually. Very respectful. That was my sprint there. But even if you're not sprinting, it's not terrible. Especially, I know they just nerfed Sarco and Spino, so maybe that gives you a little more of an edge. You are not the fastest swimmer, but you're really not bad at it. When it comes to being on land, here is your walk speed. This is just like super, super slow. Your trot speed isn't as bad, and then you've got your sprint. And as I said, really, it doesn't drain your stamina that much. Another good thing about the duck is none of its attacks drain stamina. Here's your bite, your tail whip, your claw attack. Now, that claw attack is your big damage dealer. And what's awesome is you actually start with that. You have to unlock the bite by spending marks, if I'm not mistaken. And that's good because this causes high damage. It's free to use, no stam or anything, so those are your attacks. That's all you get. Like I said, nothing too crazy. You don't get the sharpened horns like the EO. You don't get the charge or the bone break or the bleed or the rally call or any of that other flashy stuff. But this is a good little, bread and butter, milk toast kind of set you can run here. You've got everything you need. The only reason you would really choose the bite over the claws is maybe if you spec'd into fishing, because if you go to your metabolism, fisher is an option there, as well as fat reserves. I stick with herbivore. I like the food drain being not that bad. And then when it comes to hide, you have standard. You also have dense feathers, which increases defense at the cost of speed. I think that does have utility. I'll get to that in a second. And you have streamlined, which increases swimming speed and turning, but decreases defense. Now, I like dense feathers. I'm not running it, though. I'm running standard, and you might be wondering why. As an apex, you're not necessarily super fast, but as arguably the apex with the best stamina out of all of the other apexes, if you don't want to fight, you have the best shot at getting away. You outstam them. So you just hold W and shift, or forward on your joystick, and you're going to get away. I think that extra speed is a tool that the duck has that the others do not. So I like to hold on to that. Being able to get in and out of the water, of course, is really cool too. You should feel pretty safe on land or in water as this thing. You can hold your own against a lot of stuff. I would definitely be careful with other apexes, but pretty much anything else is gonna think twice before messing with you, and if they do, you just give them a little, yeah, a little one of those. So, like I said, I run it herbivore. You can also run it fisher. I've gone through the abilities and everything. Let's kind of talk about growing this thing. The experience growing a duck is a little nerve-wracking because when you're in the water, you're scared of sarcos and spinos. When you're out of the water, you feel really vulnerable. But the good thing is you start big and you start with the claw attack. So you can defend yourself fairly well against mid-tiers as a young one. I think I died a couple of times growing this thing, mostly as I got toward adult. But for the most part, I'm fine. I'm not really afraid of much playing as this thing. If it's a one-on-one, I feel pretty confident against a lot of things. Maybe I'd be more careful with a Rex or something. And if you're in the water, obviously, know when you're facing something faster than you. Like I said, for the longest time, ducks didn't want to deal with sarcos in the water. They've nerfed the sarco speed with this last update, so I don't know if that's still the case, but I would probably still be careful about that. I like it. I like this thing. I think it's a lot of fun. I've been getting more into semi-aquatics lately, and this is sort of the, not as tanky as a Spino, but a little faster and way better stamina than a Spino. So if like I said, if you like being that big, bulky Apex, but you don't like constantly having to worry about running out of stamina, this might be a great option for you. Okay, let's get into the calls and animations, starting with the broadcast. Then we have the heart call, the aggro, the alert, the low call, a shake it off, a look around, and a stretch. Now we'll get into the skins here, starting with the default, the backer, Black Swan, Canuck, Pintail, Brindle, Feral, Cinnamon, Canvasback, Eider, Albino, and Melanistic. So, as I said, I really got to reiterate this. This is a good dinosaur for players who want the Apex thing, but maybe they're not looking to really brawl with other Apexes. I'm not sure how high your chances really are. I don't think you fare necessarily well against a trike that's face tanking you. I don't think you should feel super confident about dealing with Rexes that maybe Tyrant's Roar and then get a bone break. Spino, again, I don't know how much they nerfed it in this update, but it used to be able to outmaneuver in water and accumulate bleed. That's no bueno. I mean, Barsboldia you could probably deal with if you could stay near its head or its side. The big thing you have to work with, and I can't stress this enough, is the speed and the stamina. Because as far as Apexes go, you know, ignoring charges, obviously, you are fast compared to the others. And your stamina conservation and, you know, regaining your stamina and all that stuff is pretty good. So in that case, this makes this a very good situational dinosaur. You can fight off almost everything, and the things you can't fight off, you can run from. And so I think that there's some utility there. I think that this is good for a neutral player, somebody that's not necessarily going to pick fights, but somebody that isn't going to run from everything either. You can defend yourself, but you just got to know what you're doing. Yeah, I think that about does it for Deinocheirus. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and have a great day.